Oh, you picked a good one there.
I wish I could grow a stash.
You can grow a stash.
Oh, it looks horrible, man. Like I have nuclear cancer.
Everyone.
Hey, blasphemers. Welcome to Simple Blasphemy, where we have the best times with the worst topics.
We're three friends that discuss everything and nothing, from wacky headlines to games and trivia. All subjects bizarre and risque are on the table.
Our weekly guests range from friends, musicians, and artists to professionals in a variety of industries.
We go live on Facebook and YouTube every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Want to support the show? Join our Patreon. You can find it and more at www.simpleblasphemy.com.
So grab a drink and join it!
It's too late now. This is Simple Blasphemy.
All right. Welcome to the Simple Blasphemy podcast, all you blasphemers out there. My name is Zach Ward, and I have here with me always Andy's.
I am here. That's it.
And also we have Mr. Zach Green.
Motherfucker!
That's loud.
And before we introduce our special guests, all the info on this show, including episodes and guests, can be found at simpleblasphemy.com. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Stay tuned for the news that you need to know after we get the little interview with our special guest, Neil P. Patterson.
Yeah, it's me. Hey. Hi, guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Long time
Oh.
no see.
That was like butthead, but Hooby Doo.
Butthurt Hooby Doo.
Yeah. When I do impressions of things, I always mix things up.
Oh, wait a second. We want your impressions.
I was doing an impression of Phil Anselmo, and it sounded like a mixture between him and Hulk Hogan. And it didn't really work.
What's your best impression, then?
My best impression is the lead guitar player of Reagan Youth, the New York hardcore band. I've spent a lot of time in a van with that guy.
Okay.
So I can do him pretty well. He's Lower East Side, Manhattan. My name is Paulie, and I've been in this band since 1978, kind of thing.
That's
I
very
think
good.
that's the best impression I could do. I don't know. I could maybe do Pee-wee, but I don't. I have to practice though. I don't want to. It's been so long since I brought him out.
So for our listeners and our audio listeners, Neil P is the front man of a band called Downtown Brown, started in Detroit, and it's worked its way to the West Coast. Also is the creator and sole proprietor of the SUPcast, and there are links into the description where you can also find that. SUPcast turned 1 year recently.
Yeah,
I read.
it's fucking weird. Hey, you guys have been doing this for like a couple years, right?
Yeah.
Almost, yeah.
It seems like a lot longer than that.
Yeah, it's doing something episodic and being consistent with it. It's a commitment, and doing a podcast is hard. It's something new. I can run my mouth a lot.
You really got to love what you do or the people that you're doing it with.
Yeah.
I think so.
If you do both, then it's that's awesome.
So to get to know you better, we're going to interview Neil here. But before we get into some actual real serious stuff in some regards, we're going to ask Neil our 4 questions to get to know him better. Ooh, let's see here. PJ says, "Oh, Downtown Brown, they're pretty cool." So thanks, PJ, for tuning in on YouTube. So here we go. Neil, 4 questions. Question number 1. If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Flight.
And why?
Because when you look at a bird, look at how free that fucker looks. I want that freedom.
If you're a
And
bird,
plus,
I'm a bird.
when I'm in when I am in the dream state, I can levitate, and I can do it on command. And I always get really bummed out when I wake up and realize I don't possess that power. So yeah, any type of flight, whether it's levitation or actual wings, would be fucking awesome.
So
Can I be lifted up onto your eagle's wings?
Yeah, sure.
So Neil, really quickly on that
Join in.
subject of flight, you're proposing that you would like to have a method of flight that's really a part of your body. You're not saying I want a jet pack or
No, fuck all that. Like I want to actually be able to fly without any attachments. Like,
a good pair of goggles, I would say.
yeah.
okay.
You might need goggles.
Maybe a whole face mask. Just, I mean, the amount of things that you would eat when you're up there, depending on how fast you go. I mean, if you're like levitating, you're just going to do this like holy moving from one end of the room to the other. That's one thing. But if you're like traveling,
Yeah, some Chris Angel shit.
It's traveling pants.
There's no bug. You don't have to worry about bugs when you astral project.
That's a
Okay.
good point. Oh, all right.
or they can fly.
Question number 2. Neil also said all topics are open. So here we go. What is the weirdest thing someone has done to you during sex?
I don't think they did it to me. I think I did it to myself.
Okay.
Yeah. It was the most embarrassing thing. We could do that.
You can do them both. Well, why stop? Do them both.
Okay.
If you got it in, you do them both.
I don't know. There was this girl way back in the day, and some people nibble.
Mm-hmm.
She straight up clamped down on my lower lip, and I had to like push her off of me, and I got pissed. I'm like, because she like drew blood, and it was not provoked. There was no consent, and she just bit the fuck out of me. That was weird. The most embarrassing thing, it's happened more than once, is during the climactic portion of my escapade. I was lying down, and it actually went in my mouth.
Your face. Yes. Yeah.
It's a thing. It happens because sometimes, let's say the person you're with isn't, you're not properly protected, or they're not on birth control or whatever. You gotta fucking go somewhere, and you gotta do it quick.
Mhm.
So I just, I'm lying down, and the trajectory just right in my open orifice.
Oh my God. And the youth, being able to do that as a youth, and now it's merely a sputter.
It's like a fucking
Huh?
powder.
I find, yeah, it's
Talcum
weird. I
powder.
remember I texted my ex a
Squeezing
couple
talcum
years
powder
back,
bottle.
and I was concerned because it just kind of like dribbled out during masturbation, as opposed to like being the youthful, what Andy's talking about, the youthful,
Projectile. Oh,
like
vim
rock.
and
Yeah.
vim and vigor.
All right.
Yeah, we're getting weird off the bat. All right.
That's okay. That's okay.
Pick a piece of sports equipment and sit down really hard on it. I want the full report.
Here we go. So question number 3.
Rollerblades.
Neil, you've had plenty of sex with humans. What would be like your celebrity hall pass, provided you had a chance to choose? So, what I mean by that is, if you got that chance to make love or other things to another person, who would it be? Provided they would allow the consent, of course.
That's a tough question.
Way to be contemporary.
Really?
Jack. Yeah.
The sex, okay.
That's a tough question. Well, on the male end of the spectrum, Jason Momoa, if Aquaman were to ask for my hand and to live in the woods and chop wood, I would say yes, Aqua guy.
As long as you had a clean water source nearby.
Yeah, and on the female end of things, I don't know. This is a tough one. See, what's funny is I knew the Jason Momoa thing like right off the bat, but the female.
We'll go. You spend like fantasy people. Like, did you ever want to bed down the 1971 Willy Wonka?
Who? Gene Wilder?
Fuck yeah.
No.
I just imagine climax.
I
Would be a
mean,
lot of fun 'cause
Andy-
he'd start yelling and shit.
Andy, the rest of those are children, so I don't even know what you're talking about Willy Wonka for.
It's either him or Grandpa Joe.
Oh man, Grandpa Joe. That
What a-
lazy fuck.
I can just imagine you get
Gene
Andy,
Wilder.
you've done it.
Yeah, he's
No.
a liar.
First of all, that'd be horrible because if you go to bed with Grandpa Joe, you've got 3 other people in the same bed.
Hey, Grandma Georgina, here's my cell phone. Okay,
Yeah, there's not a
Pano.
lot of
All right,
privacy in
Pano.
that house.
Grandpa Joe.
Hey,
is what
why
you
was
need to
that-
say?
Why was that guy bedridden in the beginning?
He's a liar.
Yeah, because he's a thief, a crook, and a swindler.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
All of them.
I gotta revisit that movie.
he's lying on his food stamp application.
He most certainly did because he
And then he jumped out. Look how quickly he jumped out of bed when Charlie got the golden ticket. Fucking liar.
And I
So-
like how when they did the
all
Johnny
do
Depp version, the Grandpa Joe doesn't even bother like saying, "Oh, I can't get up." He just kind of jumps up and starts dancing around like, "Yeah."
All right. So
I don't remember that version very well.
It's good.
last and final question for you is number 4. What is the worst job you've ever had?
I would say UPS, loading trucks. It was terrible because I'm a big sweaty guy, and essentially it was in the summer and the truck beds just sit in the sun, and if you're a loader, you're in the truck bed, and there's a chute that just fires packages at you, and you have to manually build walls of packages until you fill the entire truck bed, and you do that for 5.5 hours straight. I think you get a little bit of a break, but I was sweating so much that I had like acne breakouts like all over my body because I was just covered in sweat for like these long periods of time. And then I quit and got a restaurant job. So yeah, UPS was torture. It was terrible.
All right.
I mean, that's good workout, right?
Yeah. But when you're as sweaty of a guy as I am, it just ended up wreaking havoc on my skin. I was just like covered in
Maybe rusting the trucks out a little earlier than they needed to be.
Oh boy.
It was gnarly.
That's why you have that changeover in models.
Well,
I
they
need to
call them
work-
Rusty Trucks Patterson.
I need to work somewhere well ventilated just because I sweat when I play Nintendo. I'm a sweaty guy. So
I sweat when I drink a cup of coffee.
I just did that. I'm sweating.
I sweat when I'm happy, and I'm happy when I sweat.
I'm happy all the time.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's dig into you. You've had I would say a pretty successful musical career as it relates to going out touring the globe, going to California, playing the Viper Room, playing in Texas, playing in Florida, being the T-shirt salesman of the year. You know what I mean? All that stuff. And it's not easy. It's just not a fucking easy job to be a musician and build a relationship with your band and keeping them together and yada, yada, yada. So let's start from the beginning. How did you start your first band or your interest in music?
It was well, my interest in music started when I would say it was in like 3rd grade or 4th grade. And that was when they sold cassette singles. And I remember I got the cassette single. It might have been 4th grade or 5th grade, but the single for You Could Be Mine by Guns N' Roses off the 1991 Terminator 2 soundtrack.
I just heard that like not even an hour ago.
It was a single tape too. And I can't remember.
And it had Arnold Schwarzenegger on the cover because the marketing tie-in, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, they both came out in 91, and so did Terminator 2 Judgment Day. So that was really the crowning moment where I'm like, this is the most amazing shit I've ever experienced. Because my mom would always play Michael Jackson and Motown, and I was always exposed to music. My sister listened to like Bon Jovi, Slippery When Wet in the late 80s. And we were an MTV family, so I watched music videos and stuff. But when it really just punched me in the face was Guns N' Roses, Use Your Illusion 2. Because I saw Welcome to the Jungle. I didn't really get it. I was a little too young. But by the time I was in like 4th or 5th grade, and it was tied into a movie I was really excited about, and then Slash doing the solos and Axl, and I didn't understand the lyrics. I didn't know anything, but I knew that it's like Arnold is a shit. This dude is like the epitome of what badass is. And then you got Slash, and then you got Axl Rose, and I was just like, I wore that tape fucking out. I listened to it over and over. I couldn't even tell what Axl Rose was saying, but I wrote down the lyrics because there was no internet back then. I wrote down what I thought he was saying, and when I got the actual albums, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 on tape, and I read the actual lyrics, I was way off.
Cause I'm wrecking and
Yeah,
my things are wrong.
I was never good at doing that either.
Rapping in your cocaine tongue, you get nothing done.
So
What's that? The ridiculous demands.
Yeah,
hey, but
with ridiculous demands, and you can call them better. But it's more than I can think.
I heard donut in there somewhere.
I honestly, to this day, I still don't know the lyrics. But
Never fucking waste yourself on that. Never learn what the lyrics are because
Pointless.
it's pointless.
it kind of ruins it actually because because there's a point where it says, "Don't forget you call my lawyers with ridiculous demands," but it sounds like they don't forget you call my lawyer with ridiculous demands, and I never know when. And it's what the fuck is he saying?
It's like somebody is giving him autoerotic asphyxiation while he's trying to sing. They're like jerking him off with one hand and choking him with the other, and he's just getting higher and higher.
Yeah, he's just being abused in the studio. You know how like Jim Morrison got his dick sucked when he was singing some of those songs or whatever? Just being abused. That's how he makes those noises.
So that's a very interesting
Is that where that skiba
thing,
dabba
because-
about an hour ago came from?
Yeah.
I would-
about an hour ago.
Yeah, he's getting his dick sucked. No, you ever see the Oliver Stone Doors movie?
The Val Kilmer one?
Yeah, the Val Kilmer one.
It's been forever.
Yeah,
So
a long
good.
time
Yes.
ago.
That movie will make you want to drink hard alcohol until you black out. It literally glorifies alcoholism. It makes Jim Morrison seem so cool, even though he's a fucking mess. If you the slightest inclination to want to be like any sort of a rock star and watch that movie, like that was my I would pregame going to fucking shows and going out by watching that movie and drinking a pint of liquor to myself before I went out to go drink more. I would like watch that movie to get psyched about being a fat alcoholic. But anyway,
so
I'm getting
And Val
derailed.
Kilmer had that in a couple of his parts, like when he played Doc Holliday in Tombstone. That was another one of his.
Was
greatest
he a
role.
drunk in that movie?
Oh, he's just in his prime.
Dude, Val Kilmer's the shit. A lot of people, I guess he got weird when he got older, but I love it.
He had esophageal cancer.
Yep.
And
All right, hold on a second. We're getting really derailed here because we're talking about. We need to get back to how you started music. So
Oh yeah.
you heard Use Your Illusion.
Now we're in
All
cancer.
right.
Wait,
now.
hold a second. You heard Use Your Illusion. Pardon me. You saw the Mockingbird, which wasn't a Les Paul in that video, is remarkable. Anyway,
It was that red guitar.
yeah, it's Mockingbird.
That's
BC Rich.
Yeah, either way, it was badass. So it's a pretty short trajectory after that. It went Guns N' Roses, and then the British Kid. I went to elementary school with had rich parents, and they bought him a guitar. And then by 6th grade, I had convinced my parents to buy me a Washburn, like $150 beginner level Washburn 6-string. That was like baby blue. It only had one humbucker on it, and so there was no channel switch or anything. It was just like the lead channel, and and then I just started playing guitar. And by the time I got that guitar, I had already started a band, and we were in like 7th grade, and we called ourselves Mind's Eye, and then we called ourselves Chrome. There's actually a band called Chrome. And then in high school, I had like a punk ska funk band called the Freeloaders. And then that kind of disbanded, and we started Downtown Brown. And it's just been the same band the whole time because I'm a kind of a hard guy to work with. I know exactly what I want to do. So it's always just been me being like, we're going to do it like this, and we're going to do it like that. And are you on board? And then people get on board, and then they realize there's no money in it, and then they leave. And then we get more people, and then we keep going.
So if you could, it's true. If you could, can you just first of all let everybody know about Downtown Brown, a little bit about it? We, you know what? I totally forgot to do our shout out segment. Anyway, oops. We'll get to that in a second.
Check out his videos, man.
Stand by.
Awesome shit.
Yeah. So it's we don't tour. Andy, Zach, and I. We don't tour musicians.
A decade,
I don't
Been
even
too long.
fucking play.
There's this thing that people say that you end up being just like a t-shirt salesman for the most part. Is there any truth to that?
Oh, absolutely. Ask Vic from Coffin Cats. Ask him.
But they make their shirts too. They've got the market cornered.
Well, yeah, no, that's really smart because that lowers your cost of production, and therefore your profit margin's higher. Like it makes total sense because if you outsource something like t-shirts, then you're not going to make as much money if you're printing them by yourself. In 04, 05, 06, 07, our bass player had a printing press. And we could undercut everybody. We could sell shirts for fucking $7 and still make a profit. But once
that was the $5 shirt dream, man.
Yeah, and
there's always that dream. You just want to be able to give them a good 1 color or 2 color for $5, and you just can't do it.
No, man, Neil's shirts are full color.
Yeah,
I know. I've got a couple.
I don't have any.
Well,
that's okay. I'll buy.
Because I'm thinking to myself, like, why does Zach not have his shirt?
Hint. I just came up with my Michigan license plate DTB Forever one.
That one's like
the other day.
That's like 18 years old.
I've got that one, and I got my Orange Bitch T-shirt.
Nice.
Yeah, we used to play together all the time.
Oh, absolutely. Like Longhorn Saloon, a lot of Toledo gigs.
Yeah. Yep.
So Downtown Brown, elevator pitch about that project, your band.
Okay. Here's a band that plays every style of music and sometimes multiple styles of music in the same song. It's weird, it's humorous, and it's most likely a little pop sensibilities, but most likely if you don't like one song, you might like the next one, but there's no guarantee. It's going to confuse you, and therefore it's not very what's the word I'm looking for? It's not if you're a marketing guy, you wouldn't be like, oh, this band is gonna make me money.
Right.
Therefore,
it's not it's not that it's inaccessible, because a lot of parts of it are very accessible.
That world's crumbling.
But the fact that if you can, when you start juxtaposing 2 or 3 different genres all in the same song, they just get pissed off. They don't have the patience for it.
And I'm I used to be like, well, this used to be my mindset. If we play every style of music, this should appeal to everybody. But in fact, it's alienating. But I've kind of I'm at peace with things now. I'm not super like, why isn't this working? I'm like, oh, that's why it didn't work that well. It's a little weird and confusing. And it's not the 90s anymore. In the 90s, you had bands like Fish and bands like Ween and bands like Primus and bands that really did some weird shit and found success with it.
Hold on a second. Now that Andy did bring up Orange Bitch, and it's probably one song that people would say is their favorite of yours. Mine's Tits, Beer, and Sports, or personally. Off of,
Mullet Millennium.
Yeah. But Orange Bitch, how did you come up with this? Why did you decide to call out women? Because you specifically are talking about women. They orange themselves in December or November. What's the lyric?
Yeah, it's a song that's written from the viewpoint of a brainwashed male that is into society's definition of what beauty is. And it just perpetuates badness for not only the male, but the female who is this is changing these days. Mm-hmm. It's different now, because I wrote that song almost 20 years ago, and it was Cosmopolitan magazine and all the Victoria's Secret, they definitely had this image of perfection that they were pushing to women, and it made a lot of women be insecure because the guys wanted to. It still sort of exists, but it's a little bit different. In fact, when I do the Orange Bitch song these days, I just talk shit about Trump before I do Orange Bitch. We have an Orange Bitch for a president, but the whole it's a confusing song, because especially even the word bitch used to refer to a woman is like a big no-no these days. But the thing is the song is written from a viewpoint of some jocko dickhead that wants the status quo, that wants the big-titted, tan, blonde, Stacy. It's the song is pretty much like sung by a Chad. And it's confusing because I'm not a Chad. I'm just a dude singing a song from a Chad's perspective. And it actually, we play some of these like punk houses and some of these very PC, like radically left venues. And I've gotten in hot water before because it'd be like, oh, you play that song where you call women bitches. That's misogynistic. I'm like, no, it's not. That would be like you telling Jello Biafra, who drops the N-word in the song Holiday in Cambodia, that he's a racist. Jello Biafra's not a racist. He's telling a story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what
you need. The people need they need context sometimes. They need,
All right.
Totally.
So having said that, the music business is difficult when you are doing it yourself. It takes a lot of patience, time, just like, podcasting, like you said earlier. It's a lot of dedication. You've had a lot of band members on both coasts and people you've loved and, and all that good stuff. So what made you decide to do the voice at one point?
Oh,
was that kind of a stunty thing, or
that's a good question.
Because you have a great voice, a great vibrato. I mean, don't get me wrong, you're one of the stronger, better singers that I've came across.
The main reason I wanted to do it is because every girl I've ever dated my entire life had a dad or a parent that would be like, "Oh, so you're a musician? Well, you know what you should try, because I know a thing or two. I watch television.
Yeah.
You should get on this karaoke competition television. So I swear, if you get on there, that could really do something for you." So I wanted to actually audition and give it a shot, knowing that A, I probably wouldn't get very far, and B, even if I was offered like a contract, I probably wouldn't do it. Or maybe I would. But I didn't even get past the first round. But basically, the reason I did it, stunty, good photo op, A. B, every single dad that whose daughter I'm dating that is like, "Oh, my daughter's dating this guy." And then they give me the advice, "You should try for the voice." I'll be like, "I did."
Check it out. I've got it actually saved on my phone. Here, you go ahead and take that.
Here's the photo of me looking all defeated next to the big voice sign.
Thanks for bringing that back up.
And I didn't get past round 1, Dad.
Why don't you give me a paper cut and pour fucking lemon juice on it?
Your daughter is fucking a failure.
All right. So let's take a small brief break, only because I am having too much fun. We haven't seen each other for a while, and I have to do our little shout out section here, and then we'll dive into another topic. But we like to give a shout out to some countries that have been tuning in. And once again, folks, India is the clear winner, we appreciate it so much. So India, the United States, United Kingdom, Germany, Belgium, France, Colombia, Canada, Austria, South Africa are our top. We thank you.
Described most of my lineage.
Yeah. And so, having said that, it's time for Tanner Wirtz. His shout out.
Hey guys, Tanner from the Tanner Time with Tanner Wirtz podcast. Want to give a big shout out to RC Cola, because even though you forgot it existed, it'll always be there for you.
That's one of my favorite fucking colas, man.
Hey, did he write that pitch, or was that RC's pitch? RC's like, okay, we gotta write a pitch.
No, that's RC's paying.
Forgot about it.
RC's paying my mortgage.
Yeah, I wish. So let's dive into a little bit more of a serious conversation here. Neil, at one point, and I don't know, maybe it was before we met, but Neil decided that he wasn't going to be drinking anymore, and he went sober. What made you decide to go? What happened in your life?
I'm an alcoholic, and I've been in a lot of therapy to unpack this. It essentially comes down to there's a giant void inside of me that I fill with things, and sometimes I fill it with like another human being, and they make me feel all warm inside. And for many years, I just filled it with booze and cigarettes and cheeseburgers.
All right, man. What's the least evil out of those?
I love cheeseburgers, dude.
Yeah, I like a cheeseburger.
The cheeseburger is great, but I think I started drinking when I was in middle school. All the cool kids were doing it, the cool older kids, the dangerous kids. And I'm like, yeah, and we started drinking, and it was fun. And during high school, it was a lot of fun, but I started noticing that I would get like really shit-faced, and I would puke, and I would fucking black out and end up in weird places. So I noticed that I didn't have an off switch even back then. And then once I started doing the band full time after I quit art school, it just was pretty much like, okay, you're in a rock band, which means you just get fucked up all the time. And when I started touring in 2005, we started doing some regional touring. By 07, we were touring the country, and we were hitting it pretty hard. I was just fucking blacking out 4-5 nights a week, and it really affected my health, and it exacerbated my anxiety, and I would do fucking things that were very out of my character. I would fucking black out and not remember where I was, who I did things with. I would injure myself. I tore my ACL one time when I was blacked out. I'd wake up fucking covered in my own piss. I'd wake up covered in my own shit sometimes. I just was fucking terrible at. I didn't drink every day, but when I did, I drank until blackout, and then I would wake up and have terrible anxiety attacks as I started to sober up. And when you're on tour, the only thing that gets rid of that shakiness and the anxiety is more alcohol. So it became this kind of fucking vicious cycle.
Yeah.
And I hated myself, and I lacked self-esteem, and I was uncomfortable in social settings, and I would pour booze on it, and I would think I was having the time of my life, and then I would talk to whatever girl I was dating at the time, and I would be on tour, and she would tell me the next day that I was talking about fucking killing myself, I thought I was having this like rock and roll punk rock adventure. I'm like blacking out with my friends somewhere in North Carolina and eating acid, and I'm covered in dirt, and I'm just like, this is fucking rock and roll. But
unfortunately, you're in Akron, Ohio, in a used record store.
But it was very telling when the blackout started having very real world implications and consequences, and that was like losing friends and pissing off people and infidelity, and the pissing yourself is no fun. And it just got to a point where I got fucking loaded at St. Andrews Hall the night before Thanksgiving in 2008, and I had this like fucking terrible fight with my girlfriend at the time. She ended up like driving her car blacked out back to where her parents lived in Brighton from Detroit.
Oh God.
Yeah. She like lost her wallet. She lost her phone. She like took a cab to go get to her car. She blamed it on me. It was terrible. And then I had to go have Thanksgiving with her family the next day, and I'm still drunk, but I'm starting to come down a little bit. So I'm shaking. My hands are shaking, and her family or whatever poured me a glass of red wine, and I'm like sitting here, and I drank that glass of red wine as the last drink I ever had. I'm like, fuck this, I can't do it anymore. And it was weird. It was weird because it just took like enough rock bottoms, because I was thinking to myself, okay, I was in this like weird codependent alcoholic relationship with this person where we would just drink and fight and fuck, and it was terrible. And once I got sober, I realized it's like, holy shit, this relationship is toxic. And her dad was always trying to get me to drink when I was trying to quit. It was like fucked up. But
so was there anything that you did or sought help with that helped you transition from that to not drinking?
No, and that's one of the weirdest parts, because a lot of people will do a program, go to meetings, get a sponsor. I had sober people like my keyboard friend that plays in Leonard Skinner now. He was a Detroit guy, like amazing keyboard player, and he went down to Nashville, and he used to do mad drugs, and he lost his license like 3 times, and he had kids, and he was kind of a fuck up. And when he got sober, his life I watched his life flourish. Right. And I would say, and I've had him on my podcast before, I would say he was one of the main inspirations for me to finally quit boozing, because like when he got that gig for Leonard Skinner, I was just in my baby infancy stages of not drinking anymore. And we were on tour right after I quit drinking, and I remember we went and visited him, and he was playing the keyboard. He's like, yeah, I got an audition for Leonard Skinner. And I was just like, what? He's playing Freebird. He's like learning it note for note. And then he fucking landed the gig. And he's been with fucking Leonard Skinner for over 10 years now.
It's amazing.
Yeah, dude. And I'm just like, okay, if this motherfucker was like doing worse shit than I was doing, like, smoking crazy drugs and just doing terrible shit, like if he could do it, I can do it. And lucky enough, the guys in my band, they supported me, and I got rid of the relationship I was in, and I just stuck with it. I started running a lot. I lost like 40 pounds.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah. Yeah, it fluctuates. But when I was really big, when I was in my darkest depths of alcoholism and self-loathing, it's like 07, 08. I was 250 pounds. I'm like 200 now. So,
Right.
so yeah, I pretty much. Oh, and the doctor helped too. I had an appointment with my doctor. I had the blood pressure of it I had the hypertension level of like someone in their like 70s, like really bad, super high blood pressure. My anxiety was through the roof. I was having panic attacks all the time. I was really overweight. And my doctor said, you're going to die young if you don't do something about this. So it was a combination of that one last blackout and the doctor's appointment. And then seeing some of my friends in the industry actually flourish and shine is I think what helped.
So for anybody that's, their internal monologue is saying, man, I need some help. What would you say to somebody that, is feeling the way that you did beforehand, before you quit?
What would I, you don't have to kill yourself.
Right.
I was slowly killing myself, and there's a better life out there, and there's help out there too. That's the thing is when I tell my story, I feel like it's weird because all it took was like my like 9th or 10th or 15th rock bottom for me to be like because shitting the bed wasn't my rock bottom that changed me. That was because that was in like 04.
If shitting the bed weren't bad enough.
Yeah, I didn't.
You're not cool till you shit the bed.
I didn't quit drinking until 4 years after that. And I would have these little spells where I would try and then it would just creep back in. But
I mean, did you get bad hangovers?
Terrible hangovers.
Mm.
Really? Yeah. And you still just went full bore the next day?
No, what would happen is I would be still drunk the next day. I would wake up still drunk. And then I would be drunk for probably the first 3 or 4 hours of the day. Then I'd eat, and then the panic would set in. And depending on what I had going on that day or night, if I was on tour, I would just start drinking again like mid-afternoon, maybe just a couple drinks to make the shaking stop. And then once we got to the venue or whatever, I would just start taking shots with the owner, the bartender. It was always my first thing. Like my tour managing thing changed so much once I became sober. Like it was like, all right, do we get meal tickets? You get to the venue, you shake the person's hand. All right, you're front of house, blah, blah, blah. But back in those days, it was just like, where's the booze?
Right.
But yeah,
I mean, could you perform and play drunk?
Yes, but and pretty much there were nights where I was fucking on fire, loaded, but it was all it took was a little extra push, and then I got real sloppy and shitty. Like I remember we got kicked off the Warped Tour in 07.
Really?
And that involved a lot of alcohol. We were pretty much blacked out midday, and the dude playing saxophone for us at the time was this volatile human being. Ended up punching a Warped Tour employee, and we got booted off. But so Real Detroit Weekly did this like fucking this band was too naughty for Warped Tour spread, like half-page spread in the weekly before our big tour kickoff show. And we had this tour kickoff show, and there was like 300 people there, and so I was drinking like I normally do, but I fucking blacked out on stage, and I forgot how to play the guitar. I forgot how to play my instrument. And the girl I was dating at the time, she's like, you forgot how to play your guitar. She told me the next day because I blacked out. I didn't remember what happened. I left my Gibson Les Paul Standard at the Magic Stick unattended, and luckily it was there the next day. But
my God!
But just imagine leaving a $1,400 guitar at a venue and just being too drunk to fucking remember to bring it with you. Like that's how bad it was. Like if that's how fucked up I got, I would like forget my most prized possession at places.
Well, I had I have to give you all the credit, man, for designating something that you wanted to change. It's not always easy to change habitual things like, when I go play a venue, of course, you're going to get something to drink and you're going to relax and, people are buying you shots and things like that. Or when we play, we've all played at Howard's and you get free mini pitchers and whatever it is. It's hard to break that.
That's all you get when you play at Howard's.
Exactly. But
half
it's very difficult to break those.
Wait, not Howard's.
Habits.
I was talking Frankie's. Sorry,
or Frankie's for that matter. So kudos to you. Usually, this is a question that most people don't particularly care for, per se, when you're an artist or a writer. But
I'm excited.
and these things change from time to time. But what's your favorite song that you? And of course, it doesn't have to be your favorite per se, but what's a standout song that you're really proud of?
You Could Be Mine by Guns N' Roses.
Yeah. A song I'm really proud of is one I never wrote. It's unintelligible Axl lyrics. The
Incoherent blabbering.
The record I put out in 2018, I'm really, really proud of because it's super personal, but it also was kind of a dud because I don't know. I don't know why. I spent a lot of money on the production of it, and we got the dude from Leonard Skinner on it. We got fucking one of the guys from Fishbone plays on it, and one of the horn players that plays on the Sublime 40 Ounces album plays on it. And I got a drummer that was in Parliament Funkadelic plays on it, and it's all these great musicians. I don't know, that whole record, man. There's the first song off that record is really dope to me. It's called California, and it's just it's like acoustic sing-songy hip hop, but then it goes into punk rock, and then it ends with this really kind of trippy this kind of outro that's all acoustic guitar and these really pretty arpeggiated bass synths and stuff, and it was what I was feeling at the time. And so it constantly changes, but I would say I'm most proud of when I'm the most vulnerable. And a song like Mullet Millennium or something was just fucking around with my buddies. It's just a fun, stupid thing. And
that's why it had merit based on that fun thing that you could get everybody involved in.
So
real quick, our most viewed video on YouTube that has the most views out of all the shit we've ever done is a song called I Got a Poot in My Boot. Which is the silliest, dumbest song. We wrote it in 6 minutes. But that's the thing is a lot of times I think the stuff that comes together organically that you don't put a lot of thought into sometimes hits harder, but the stuff that means the most to you maybe doesn't translate to people as well, but it holds a special place in your heart, I guess.
See,
I keep that. There's music that you write that you give to other people, and there's music that you write that you keep to yourself.
That makes sense.
And you want everybody to really like the music that you write for yourself, but at the same time, if you can throw them a bone.
That's a funny comment.
Throw them something every once in a while. No, you throw something here, man, I wrote this. This is cool. It didn't really take that much, but you really like it, right? Cool. Awesome.
I go ahead, Neil. I'm sorry.
I'm just at peace with it because we put out this album in 2010 and it's all these inside jokes and it's like a kid's album. It's called Grabbleton's Beach and it's got this song called Baby on it that people really like. And it's just really silly. And people haven't taken my band seriously for at least the first fucking 10 years of my band because it was a lot of silliness. And then once we started writing some more serious songs, people just didn't care as much, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm at peace with it.
Well, I will tell you this. I, even as a songwriter, I really admire many things that you've done, lyrically even speaking. And my favorite video is the Yo video. How did you guys, who was the other guy that rapped with you on that one?
That's my friend JP.
Okay. I thought it was amazing. And it's like this fine line between saying yo enough times that it's not annoying and and you know what I mean? It's like yo, 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 and it's like if there's one more yo, we might push this over a little bit.
That's just another example of one of those inside jokes that became a song, and yeah, and then we just have some talented friends. There's a band called Psychostick that we're friends with, and the guy that makes all of their videos made that video for us for free. Which
that was awesome video.
Yeah, and he's just really good at the green screen stuff and at video editing, and all of his stuff is top notch, like super HD, really professional looking. So yeah, we just threw flour all over our faces like we were doing a bunch of cocaine and had a good old time. But it's weird because like they're like it's I don't know. I write some really serious music that means a lot, and that's from like the bottom and the depths of my soul. But then I write this really silly shit, so it confuses people because a lot of we've gotten a lot of record reviews that just say we're like a novelty act and these guys are clowns, but then they see us live and they're like, oh, they can play their instruments. That was really good. So I don't know.
It's a show, man. There's no doubt about it. It's a great show to see.
Do we have to end or can we go longer? Because there's so much. I feel like I'm talking the whole time.
Boy, are you in luck. So I am going to post in the chat for everybody a link to the video Yo, only because it's one of my faves. But what we'll do is we'll continue this in the Patreon area for about 15 or 20 more minutes. We'll hang out in our Patreon.
Sounds good.
Is that all right? And Neil, before we do that, can you just let everybody know how they can find you, rather?
Yeah. If you just search SUPcast, SUP, like what's up, SUPcast on YouTube. There's I just did my 48th episode, and yeah. And then if you look up Downtown Brown in YouTube, there's a whole fuckload of content floating around. We're the only band called Downtown Brown in the States. There's a DJ named Downtown Brown in New Zealand. We are not affiliated. There's a makeup called Downtown Brown that we're not affiliated with. And there's a beer called Downtown Brown by the Lost Coast Brewery, which is brewed out here in sunny California. And we're not associated with them either. We're the Downtown Brown band that if you look up on Google, there's a whole shitload of shit. And if you look up Neil P, Neil P as in Master P on YouTube, there's a whole fuckload of content for that too. So.
God, he's going to make you say,
Yeah.
Nah.
Dude, Master P's the shit.
Fuck yeah.
All right. So everybody, if you are one of our Patreons, we'll be heading over there for a little bit of an after show with Neil. And thanks for everybody tuning in. We appreciate it.
Sorry I talk so much.
Hey, did you break your Reverend Volcano neck again yet?
No, not yet.
I need.
Oh, you could have done. Stay tuned for the Patreon to find out more.
I'd love to take another approach to that, but I think I fix it for good this time.
It's I think it's been broken 3 times.
Maybe 4.
Maybe.
I went all out last time I fixed it, but
I'm going to guess that it plays better.
Shatter that motherfucker so I can just like take another stab at it.
I'm telling you, I bet you it plays better every time he fucking fixes it too.
That is true. It has like some texture on the back of the neck now from all the times it's been glued and sanded. But the first time was at Smalls, it broke, and then the second time I broke it on a drum riser. I busted it straight off. And then I think there was a third time, but
because everybody passed it around. And then normally if you break a piece of wood, you don't want to disturb the wood. But by the time that I got it, everything was rounded and I had to take an entirely different approach to fix it. but I tell you what, man, it's been fun fixing your shit, man. And it's been an honor.
Well, thanks, man. It's been, y'all are great, dude. And I miss just popping in and Ken saying that I'm scum because I sweat so much.
I forgot about that, man. All the metal like pieces on the guitar were just fucking rusted and corroded.
I told you I sweat a lot. That's why I had to quit UPS, dude. I sweat too much. Man.
I mean, he sweated so much that I couldn't get metal screws out of the wood body of the guitar because they
All
were
right.
rusted in so fucking
We could
bad.
talk about this forever. Let's do it in the
Yeah.
after show. So hang tight, folks. You can find the link to the Patreon in the description of this podcast. We hope to see you there. If not, we will see you next Tuesday. Thanks for joining.
Woo!